Welcome in, guys. This is Comic Book Food Chain. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking about our topic of the week, which is crossover series. You're going to see Gogol and myself throw down Pokemon versus Power Rangers in the first ever Civil War. And to end the night, we're going to tell you what we're eating. We'll be right back. And we're live. What is up, people? I've been pumped all week to hang out and talk with you guys. This is the Comic Book Food Chain, the only live streaming panel discussion that brings you perspectives from across the comic food chain. I'm your host, Anthony, hanging out with the guys. Starting at the top of the food chain, I got my guy, Mr. Frank Gogol. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, man?
Chilling. And of course, as always, the collector, Mr. Aaron Yee. How's your week hanging out, guy?
It's going good. I start back up work tomorrow again after taking a few days off. But not excited for that.
Got to get that R&R. Both of you guys just had some R&R. Yours was mandatory, Yee, and Frank, yours was voluntary, correct?
Depends on who you are. Mandatory for me.
I like it. Well, guys, you guys kind of got a little taste of the intro. We're going to get into some good topics tonight. We got a fun show planned for you guys, so make sure you hang out through the whole thing. Please contribute in the chat. But yeah, let's kick this off. Frank, let's talk about this road to 1,000.
One more time, man. You broke up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said let's talk about the road to 1,000. Let's kick this bad boy off.
All right, man. Aaron, if you can get me my slide.
Alrighty.
But just for anyone who wasn't here last week, we put together a sort of tiered Kickstarter stretch goal type set of giveaways we're going to do every time we hit 100 subscribers. So at 200, 300, 400, there you go. We're going to do some giveaways to thank you guys for coming and joining us for this as subscribers and for just supporting us. We want to do something nice for you guys, give you guys a reason to come back each week. Last week we had John Boy Myers on, and when we hit 200 subscribers, we're going to give away a couple of signed comics that he gave us to hook you guys up with. And when we hit 300, we're going to unlock the next one. Or when we hit 200, we're going to unlock the 300 stretch goal, which it turns out we did a lot faster than we were planning, way faster.
Yeah.
So if we could hit to the next slide. As of this morning, we were sitting at 382. Last week
wow.
we were at like $1.50. So we more than doubled. So huge shout out to you guys for coming, subbing, and like blowing us out of the water, because like we said, we weren't expecting it. We actually don't have the next stretch goal figured out yet, because we weren't planning to have to need it. So what we did is we decided we're gonna do that one next week, but this week's is gonna be kind of fun. So let's slide over to the next slide. So part of what is making us get so many subscribers is we've had like a lot of support from the YouTube community, which was really gratifying and awesome. In particular, our buddy Comics with Bueller gave us huge shout outs across a couple of his videos. You can see us poking out in the corner of one of his videos over there. And we saw you guys in the comments saying that you subbed and that you came here and that Bueller told you to come. We actually have a little bit of proof on the next slide. Little sample. So yeah, it's just a lot of guys coming through and saying, Bueller sent them. And that's just a small section. So we want to thank you guys. We want to say thanks to Bueller for sending you guys our way. We hope you like what we're doing. We're kind of dumping our hearts and souls into this, and it's been a lot of fun for us. So we want to make sure you guys are having fun too.
So Frank, I want to add something real quick before you go. So can you go back to that slide, Aaron, that had our subscriber total on it? Okay, so my son just ran me over his phone. We are at 422 subscribers as of right now. So
wow.
You're 2 giveaways behind now. I don't know if you guys can. He's like, Dad, you're at 422. Here's your phone.
So we got to get out while we're on top. So this is going to be the last episode, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this. No, but that's crazy. And I grabbed the screen grab this morning, so I knew we'd bump up a little bit, but that's another 40 in like 5 or 6 hours. That's pretty crazy. So yeah,
we're gonna hit 1,000 before next week, man. Like
we're gonna run out of stuff to give away.
I know.
I would be interested to know what the comic book women have, but that's a conversation for another day.
Damn.
I might
so
have to be digging through some of my stuff to give away, you know?
how much you like that shirt?
Right? I want
Hey,
that turtle sweater you had
you know.
before you took it off.
Worn by the Aaron Yee. So thank you guys so much for hopping on and subscribing and checking out our videos. Like I said, we're just trying to have some fun and make some friends along the way. So let's skip another slide. I wanted to give a very specific shout out to Travis over at Comics with Bueller. Like I said, he's been giving us a lot of love, and you guys have been sharing that love back with us. We also wanted to congratulate Travis on hitting 18,000. He's got 18,000 subscribers. He's been doing this for a lot longer than us, and that he's sharing that with us and bringing us along with him too it means the world. So thank you, Travis. Thank you, Comics with Bueller. We wish you a ton of continued success. So that brings us to our severely outdated unlockables chart here. As you can see, the new goal that we were planning to do tonight will the prize giveaway, whatever you want to call it, will be determined by our fun segment later on, the Food Chain Civil War. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. So when we come back to you guys next week, we will know more about the 300 unlock for the 400 subscribers. And hopefully it's a good problem to be falling this far behind. So, again, thank you guys.
Yep.
So with that said, we want to announce our winner for the 200 mark. We hit 200 like Wednesday or Thursday last week, and we went through and used a random YouTube comment picker to choose our winner of the John Boy comics. So we're going to package those up in a Gemini and get those out this week to the winner. And the winner is Tim Burnham. Who totally by chance is our winner. Tim is actually a buddy of mine. I've known him for a little while. He's been one of the biggest retweeters of my tweets about this silly little show we're doing. And his birthday just passed. So this was a happy little thing. So Tim, if you're watching, get in touch with me. If I don't hear from you, I will get in touch with you and we'll get those John Boy comics in your hands.
So, Frank, how do you get an official retweeter? Because I'm in the market. Do I need to reach out to Tim too?
Yeah, I don't know if Tim's an official retweeter. We connected. We were in an omnibus collectors group for a while.
Very cool.
And I sold all my omnibuses when I was doing my first comic to help pay for the art. But Tim and I have kind of stayed in touch ever since, and I've stayed a little bit active in the group. But yeah, so
very cool.
Make friends, man. Talk to people.
I love it.
I know you don't have many, but we can help you out with that.
I'm sure Bird City people would volunteer,
Oh, God, they'll take over.
I mean, how else did you get me on the show, right?
The peeps are giving Mouse a cookie.
Oh, damn. So, Ant, I think this was...
Yeah, so guys, again, big shout out to everybody for subbing. Just want to remind everybody, do this right now. You go over, and if you haven't subscribed yet, shame on you. Hit the notification bell because you want to know when we go live. Super shame. The second thing is, and the second part is, get your friends involved. If you enjoy the show, your friends are probably like-minded. Send them our way. Put them in front of somebody fresh and new, like our situation we got going. Hopefully you're enjoying it. And if you do, like you said, show us that love. And you obviously are, because we're hitting goals that we're not even ready for. But again, appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you guys subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on every platform. Yi runs our IG. But yeah, the YouTube is where it's at.
And the follow IG is just at Comic Book Food Chain on Instagram. So you'll see.
Word.
Yep.
Easy money.
All right. So you guys want to get into the meat of this? You want to get into our first segment?
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes, guys. We're going to kick off the next segment. All right, there it was, you guys. It's the topic of the week. This is where we're going to all give us our takes on a topic. This week, we've decided to talk about comic book events, crossover series. Again, you're going to get the perspective down the comic food chain. Of course, let's start at the top of the food chain where the books are produced from. Frank, how do you want to kick this bad boy off?
So I was thinking we could start with just kind of general takes.
Sure.
You as a reader, consumer, a seller, whatever. Like, what is your high level take? Do you like them? Do you hate them? Do you wish they were better?
Let's go bottom to top on this one. Why don't you tell us where you're at on this?
Okay, so when I first got back into collecting, I collected Civil War II. I actually just happened to pick this up recently. Just another side story onto it. It's an all right story. It's not as good as the classic Civil War, but you know, it's I like the idea of crossover events because you can read new titles that you probably wouldn't have picked up on your own. So that's why I enjoy crossover events. But I mean, like with what they've Marvel's in particular has been putting out recently, like I'm not going to read 72 titles to read King in Black.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, and then X of Swords, the event before that was pretty decent. I read most of that, so
So let me
I
ask you a question then, from what you're telling me, as a fan of the comics and the characters, like I think you mentioned this in one of the meetings where, because of crossover events, you're reading about a character you don't typically buy from like your pool box. So you kind of get a little taste of something that you're not totally into, but you
right,
get some of it, which is nice.
right. So like for X of Swords, they had like run-ins with Excalibur and stuff like that. I probably wouldn't have picked up Excalibur on my own. So I got to read some of that, and I was like, "Oh, this is a pretty cool title." Like, so it
Right
got me
on.
kind of interested in to like check out to broaden my horizons of reading instead of just picking up the same old.
Very cool, very cool. Well, then I guess I would be next. So when, as a retailer, when we talk about crossover events, I always go back to like Metal, the Dark Knight Metal events, because those were so well done and well thought out, and they weren't overkill. You had the Bats Out of Hell. This is the original run. You got the Bats Out of Hell 4 book series that went across a couple different titles, which was great. They did connecting covers, which is a retailer you want to sell more books. You had the main issues 1 through 6 with 4 different variants, which was fantastic, and the foil covers were beautiful. All the exclusives for number one, which I've almost completed the entire series of number one. I collected those. And then all the minis, all the first appearances in there for characters that had some longevity. So the DC event was great for retailers because it was done so well. I still love the Marvel event because comic book people, I've learned this, you guys are completists. Like it bugs you when you have holes in your run, which I capitalize on like you can't believe. But that's a little bit of the retailer. That's how my mind works. Is I'm thinking to myself, okay, if this story is great, I need to buy and make sure that I have the run for the readers. But at the same time, if I'm not getting a good response, that's where you got to throttle back what you do buy and what you don't put in front of your customers because you're going to get stuck with it. So it's a different mindset. It's a very cool game that I get to play.
You done? You vulture?
Well, I was I was like, am I muted? Because that was fucking magic right there.
Oh man, no, I'm gonna agree with you guys. I think I on the whole like events. I like the concept of events. I think that one of the really cool things about the Marvel and DC universes is that they're a shared space, and when they can kind of all condense into this one space for 6 or 7 issues and some tie-ins. I think that's kind of like one of the things that the format does that TV doesn't do very well. Like I think there's like a series of Chicago like fire and PD and hospital show or whatever, and like I think they did a crossover, and like that's probably gonna be the closest equivalent, but like the scale of it's just not there. Like the variety isn't there. So it's just I like events. Like you were saying, like sometimes it comes down to execution. Some are better than others. Um, I was reading comics since like '97. I picked up Spider Boy, that Spider-Man Superboy amalgam universe book off a CVS spinner, and I've been a comic fan ever since. But I didn't get like big into comics until 2006 because of Civil War. A buddy of mine gave me a newspaper clipping about Spider-Man getting the red and gold suit, and I was like, oh, I gotta check that out. So I went to my local comic shop. Ended up pulling every single Civil War title, the whole main series, every tie-in. I don't know how as a high schooler I had that much money, so like I'm not, I'm not even trying to figure it out right now. But yeah, and like so, kind of like what Aaron was saying, like it's cool because you can sample shit, especially as a new reader. I was like, let me get that Miss Marvel, let me get that Young Avengers Runaways crossover that was not very good. But like I was, and then, like that just led me down a rabbit hole. Like I was on Wikipedia all the time, like looking up who these people were, and like I think events have a lot of potential to bring people in. Like for me, like it was my gateway, and I think that's cool. I do think that like less is more, right? Like we have been on like like the downward part of a roller coaster since 2006, where the events are more frequent and like sales gimmicks are like increasingly tied to them. And like, I'm not sure how good that is, but you mentioned metal and death metal. Those are two, I think, really well structured, pretty contained events. You know, I think it was a mini series, one tie-in arc on another book, and a bunch of one shots that for the most part really did like prove their worth. So yeah, on the whole, I'm definitely for them. Like more hits than misses.
So I have an interesting question that this just popped into my head. Do you guys feel that people have evolved to a point right now where, okay, let's talk about like the traditional Batman run. You know, what are they on, 106 issues or something? Okay, yeah. So you got reader A that collects issue 1 through 106, or you get the attention span of the average human now, which probably minis and macro series are probably hitting a lot harder. Like, I have the whole Batman run, but I enjoy the minis because I know it's 6 books and I'm going to get the whole story and it's done. And then, you know, you move on to the next thing. And I'm wondering if we've evolved as collectors at that point, because, you know, everybody's attention span's practically nothing anymore.
Right.
That those just work better for people.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because that's what got me back into comics really was the whole miniseries. So I'm a huge Deadpool fan, and it was Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, just picking up the trade paperback. And then like, oh, I need to find all these books. Like, let me find them. And then so now I'm collecting, you know, I've put together all the first prints together, and I've put together all the second print sets together. Even on my extras, I got like J. Scott Campbell to sign the first 2 covers. And then, yeah.
And it's probably a good jump-in point for new collectors because it's kind of overwhelming when you look at everything. Like, I get new collectors all the time that go, hey, my buddy turned me on you guys. Where do you recommend I start? And I always recommend like a series of easy to find, solid story, and, you know, between 6 to 12 issues, so it feels complete.
Well, and it's interesting that you also brought up Batman. So, you know, Tom King did the original run of like 1 to 99 or something like that, and then with issue 100, it's James Tynion the 4th.
Yeah.
So I mean, so that's a change of writers. So like, you know, you could skip technically, you know, 1 through 100 and just start at 100 and keep on going.
Right. Yeah.
One of the things that is worth mentioning is that, you know, you mentioned that our attention spans are shrinking. And that's definitely like the result of information being at our fingertips in a way it's never been before because of the internet, binge culture because of things like Netflix. We want stories and we want kind of complete stories a lot faster. And when you're reading Batman for 100 issues, like it's, you know, it's just what's the next issue? Batman, you know, Detective Comics hit 1,000 a couple of years ago, and like that's one ongoing story. But one of the benefits for publishers for taking the miniseries is, you know, you get a new number 1 every 6 or 7 issues, right? And number 1s are sales. So like, I think of something like I saw Transformers over in the comments, and I remember when IDW relaunched their first version of Transformers, and it was a series of, I want to say like 5 or 6 in a row, 6-issue minis, which did a couple things. It gave a new number 1 every 6 or 7 months. It on top of that, it also made these things digestible in a way that like people could feel like they didn't need to invest for years and years and years to get the whole story. And I think that, you know, that was before, I think they've had that license since like 2004 maybe. So I mean, that's pretty pre, you know, that's pre a lot of social media. It's pre a lot of Netflix type stuff. So that's, you know, that's kind of been the lay of the land for a while. And now we're just kind of seeing everybody else adopt it.
Yeah. And I think that's why indie books are really starting to hit home because let's be real. Anybody can jump into the game, and there's plenty of people willing to help you if you want to get into the hobby of reading and collecting. But you're going to feel behind because the people that hold so true to the lore of the individual characters, it's a little overwhelming. And I think the indie publishers have kind of got a golden ticket there because you can jump in. It's an original story, like the one that Gogol does. And you've got some other works coming out, and you don't have to feel like you need to read the last 20 years of whatever happened with the character to really feel like you belong. You can jump right into a story and appreciate it. And I think indies are really cornering that market of jump in points.
Yeah. Well, and then a lot of indie titles, like either they set up so it's just either a mini series, or like, I mean, Something is Killing the Children. Like, that's my favorite series. That was originally always supposed to be a 5-issue series. It's now a 15-issue series and it's ongoing. What
Who's the writer of that?
James Tynion the fourth.
Oh,
Yeah.
that guy's everywhere.
Yeah. Well, I want to roll back a little bit to like what Frank was saying with the numbering thing with DC. So I thought that was really interesting that both the big publishers were doing that. Both Marvel and DC were, getting back to, I guess, the quote unquote legacy numbers. And so, like, because with DC, isn't the New 52 included in that numbering scheme?
Yeah, but that like technically is story wise in universe. It's just like a chapter,
Right.
big story.
But I thought it was kind of messy how Marvel did it, because you had to follow like certain charts to see like, is this in continuity into the Marvel legacy or whatever.
Yeah, I remember that, and that definitely was something that people were a little confused and upset by, and like I get it. At the end of the day, like from a business standpoint, it was the exact right move by Marvel. I've wanted to for a while, I haven't, but I bet if you map it out, they set those numbers up like very strategically, including some things and the other things to get to certain numbers. But also, it sets up anniversaries in like a cascading fashion. Like we're coming up on Hulk 50, Immortal Hulk 50, and I bet like within 12 or 20 months of that, we'll be hitting like Hulk 700 or 800 or whatever the next anniversary is. Same thing with Fantastic Four. I think they're coming up on issue 700 maybe. And then, if they relaunch, they'll get a 25 2 years later rather than waiting 4 years for the 50. So it's a smart business move, but it definitely it falls apart if you look too close at it.
Yeah. Those milestone issues are always big. There's a point I'm waiting for Gogol to jump on, and it was super interesting where you said about the we're again talking backstage, and it was you were saying where these minis and the crossover series is where they try out new talent. Can you say what you said about that? Because I was super interested in that. I think that's a really cool theme.
So one of the things that's kind of on my radar as a creator is events are they're these big things that people like Aaron or me when I was younger, they will try new things, right? You can walk in the store and be like, oh, Thunderbolts is tying into Civil War. I've never read a fucking Thunderbolts comic in my life, but let me check it out. The cover looks cool. I like Civil War. Let's try this out. And you can see, in recent, like with Infinite Frontier and Future State, like a lot of those titles are DC trying out new talent. We got Philip Kennedy Johnson, who's been around and has done some really great indie stuff and has done some really good stuff at DC, but hasn't really been on a flagship book. They tried him out, and now he's writing Superman, which arguably is the flagship book of DC, or second to Batman. So like you see stuff like that all the time. I think Matt Rosenberg's first stuff at Marvel was like a 6-issue mini that tied into some of the Inhuman stuff a few years back, and Matt for a while has been a mainstay there. Same thing with Charles Soule and Jim Zub, and like all the people who went on to have somewhat robust or very robust careers. So for me, like it's always on my radar. When I'm emailing editors at Marvel and DC, which I've been doing for a couple of years now, and I have a couple of like ongoing conversations, I always email them as soon as an event is announced. Usually get like a 6-month lead, and I'm like, hey, here, you got this event going on. Do you need somebody for that fucking Wiccan one shot? Like, I would write the hell out of that. Just let me know. No, not that forward, but that's the general gist. So those events for me represent opportunities as a creator, the kind of the same way they represent opportunities as for readers. Like if they're opportunities to get into something. And it works. Like, I mean, we wouldn't have events coming the way they do as often they do if it didn't work. Like, it may be a little bit of a broken system with how often we have them and how good they tend to be sometimes, but like on the whole, they work for those two purposes very well.
Yeah. And it was something that I didn't thought about. It's such a cool thing when you put it on that kind of basis, that this is where they try out new talent. This is where we get new creators that we fall in love with. But the other thing that I did love about this is that not everybody's going to work out, and how much do we as people love a good crash and burn too? So, I mean, I'm just being realistic. I mean, we come together over mutual hate sometimes better than over mutual love, and it makes for some entertaining collecting.
That's it's not something I've ever thought about, but it's really true. Like very immediately, I could think of at least 2 or 3 like hot indie creators from the last few years who have gotten their chance to do a Marvel or DC book and then just disappeared. Like which is like my nightmare. I don't want that to happen to me if I ever get my shot, but it's absolutely true. And like I remember lots of conversations around like, oh, guess they weren't up to snuff, stuff like that, you know.
Dude, it happens. I mean, it's got to be a thing that goes down, and it happens with so many other things in life. So why wouldn't it happen with comics? You know?
Yeah, no, 100%.
But hey, we got your back. So if they give you shit, I got you. I'm in the car.
All right, I appreciate that.
He's gonna order at least 1,000 copies to get that, you know, that incentive. So
I'll order 2,000, and then Aaron, you'll buy them all.
That all right. Full transparency. That is what this is. This is a scam. I'm gonna order them, and Aaron's gonna buy them all. Like it's enginered for success. Most success at the top, least success at the bottom.
This is like a well done crossover.
Well, I just gotta pump it up on a different channel, right? So
I mean, pump and dump is not something that doesn't happen.
God, no.
I'm not gonna do that.
Dude, I actually, okay, super side note since you brought this up. I actually had a retailer reach out to me, fairly new, nice enough guy. I got this great idea. He proceeds to give me a pump and dump scenario through an online platform that we buy comic books from on a different market, and that's all I'll go say. And I'm just giggling my ass off on mute, right? My wife's like laughing at me. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, this dude think he came up with the pump and dump idea. And, you know, of course, I unmute. I'm like, dude, this is terrible. You get caught, you're totally toast, so don't do it. But yeah, anyway.
Sounds like another eBay scam.
That was that guy from Bird City Comics? So I got a couple of questions on this topic for you guys. Yeah. So two-parter. The first one, and we can dig into this a bit before the second one, is what is your favorite comic book event and why? No wrong answers unless it's that really bad crossover.
Oh man!
If you guys don't have one, I can start.
Okay, you start because I'm gonna go with one that I in my head it's one I've already mentioned, but I'm gonna see if I can come up with something new. So kick us off.
All right. So for me, it's a tie between two. For favorite, not the one I think is best, not the one that I think is the best executed, but just the ones that I liked the best and enjoyed reading the most. First was Civil War. I mean, that's the gold standard. I don't think that there's a single thing wrong with the main series, and I'd say 90% of the tie-ins pop off in like a really good way. The engine that it's built on is story-wise has enough space for all the tie-ins to feel a little bit different while still contributing to the main idea. Sometimes events can be very claustrophobic, and like you get a bunch of tie-ins that are kind of the same thing. And that's true for my other pick, which is Fear Itself, the Matt Fraction 2011 Thor kind of Captain America event series, which was a really claustrophobic event in that it happened very quickly. It kind of came out of nowhere for the characters. They were reacting to it rather than being a scenario that they were living in, like Civil War. So like it was a lot of like chess pieces on the board, right? You had like I forget what they were called, but like the opposite of the worthy. They were like the 7 bad guys who got the powers, and like each one was on a different continent, and then like a different kind of Avengers team to go fight them, and like all the times were pretty similar. But I do love that Fear Itself is additive. Like it really expanded the Thor mythology and really built on a lot of the cool Captain America stuff that Ed Brubaker was doing at the time. So like anything that really expands like Thor's mythology or Hawkeye's backstory and potential, like those are always good things to me because that's more stuff to play with if I ever get to write it. But it's also like, how many times do you want to watch Daredevil fight the Hand, right? Like it can only be interesting every third time, and it's going to happen 50 times. It's happened probably 10 times since I started reading comics, and that's pretty conservative. But doing something like Shadowland where you flip the script and Daredevil's the bad guy because he's possessed, like maybe you don't like it, but it's additive because it's different and it expands things and it gives the character something to play off of later, this experience. So, I know that Civil War is pretty well beloved by a lot of people, and I know that Fear Itself is pretty hated on by a lot of people. And but like, I do like them both, and I think they're both pretty valuable. If I had to pick one I didn't like, Avengers versus X-Men. Not that I didn't like the idea. I love the build up to it in the Fraction X-Men books. It just didn't kind of land for me. And I think maybe it was because there was a bunch of writers on the main series. I think it was 4 writers and each one had 3 issues. And that seems a little hard to coordinate quality wise. But I don't know. So X of Swords says otherwise. So I don't know.
Yeah. All right. So I was a big fan of Secret Invasion. Obviously, Dark Knight Metal. I liked Death Metal very much, but the original Metal run was fantastic. I was a big fan of the character design from the Dark Multiverse Batmans. I must have reread those one shots like more than a handful of times each. So I did love that. Secret Invasion's an obvious one. So I think this qualifies. Anything Turtles crossover too, like Batman Turtles, Turtle Power Rangers. It's so fantastic. But the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman crossover Volume 2, one of my favorites because I am a huge Damian Wayne fan. Love the kid. He's fantastic. My son identifies with them because he's just like, that's his guy. And the fight scene between him and Raphael in that book where they were sparring and then it kind of got serious. And my son and I were like reading this. Like I felt stupid. I'm in his room, like on his bunk bed, like a kid. We're both laying on our stomachs, like sharing the comic book. My wife's like, you boys keep it down. I'm like, I get it. I'm reading the comic book on a bunk bed. But we got to that scene and him and I were just like jazzed that they were throwing down. It was pretty good.
Do you want to know why else you like it?
Why?
James Tynion IV.
I was circling back to that.
Side note, since we're on the topic, if you would like to see me write Power Rangers versus Ninja Turtles Volume 2 someday, feel free to start any kind of petition or subreddit or whatever. I would like for that to happen very much. So
I would love for that to happen.
That would be awesome.
Did any of y'all read TMNT and Power Rangers, that crossover?
One more time.
You
broke up a little bit.
Did anyone read? Did anyone read the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers crossover?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah, so I really did enjoy that. And then one of the earlier ones I can remember, it's a mini crossover. Is Deadpool's Daniel Ways, Volume 2, I think, or whatever. That's like my absolute favorite Deadpool run. So they cross over in the beginning of the series with Thunderbolts.
Oh, and he was writing that at the time too, right?
Yeah, so it's like a 4-issue story arc that crosses over with Thunderbolts. So I really enjoyed that. And then shout out to Ultra Infinity Gauntlet. That's definitely a classic.
Yeah, obviously. I just want to say that we've mentioned Thunderbolts a few times now. Thunderbolts don't get nearly enough love. They are one of Marvel's hidden gems, and I would love for them to come back. The Warren Ellis Thunderbolts, I think, are my favorite, even though they're not the traditional Thunderbolts. But any Thunderbolts will do. Like, just bring them back. The Jim Zub run with Bucky as the team leader was so good, and it was cut way too short. So, if you're going to start a second petition after me writing Turtles, go start that one.
I like it.
Look at that.
Well, isn't Thunderbolts getting a Disney Plus show?
I mean, we hope so. Zemo's in Cap. What is the title of that show? Bucky and the Winter Soldier.
Oh, Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Sorry, I've been drinking nothing but water all day.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but Zemo's in that. I mean, we've got some villains who are kind of waiting in the wings for a little bit of love again. Abomination from Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
Some other classic. Any of the Iron Man bad guys who aren't dead, which is I think none of them. But I would promise you, Young Avengers and Thunderbolts are the next two big things from the MCU.
I dig it. I think we're gonna have to start a read list too. Maybe we should post that, like crossover events, our favorites, so people can go and pick them up and read them if they haven't done it. Get on our level.
Follow us on Instagram, and I'll give you a graphic so you guys can have our list.
I love it.
He said very slyly. All right. So we went through. We talked about what our favorites are. So the second part of my question is, and this is maybe the more important one. What makes a good crossover or event book for you? Like what are the keys? If you had to pick two things. I can start this one as well because it's my question. I have an answer ready.
Go for it.
All right. So for me, there are two things that make it work really well. The first is like a really good structure, and that's something I don't know that anyone who's not the writer is thinking very much about. But like I mentioned, that metal and death metal both had like these really good tight structures. It was a core miniseries and a bunch of one shots, and maybe one tie-in arc. Whoa.
Apparently, they don't agree with you there.
This show has that energy. But no, yeah. So I think that's. I mean, as a creator and as a reader, like that to me, the tighter it can be, the more meaningful the one shots are. Like I liked metal a lot, but I thought death metal was the better structured one. Each of the one shots really was additive in a good way. Like it picked up on a thread from the main story, but like highlighted like a really beloved part of the DC universe. Like one was dedicated to the Green Lanterns, one was dedicated to the Flash, one was dedicated to Teen Titans had that arc in Justice League over 4 issues. Like I mean, like it was like a celebration, but it was also really tight and it felt essential. A lot of times, often don't feel essential. Like they can be good. That doesn't mean like that they're essential, but they can be bad and inessential too.
So what I like about DC, and just since you're pointing this out, is that they learned from the death metal original run, and it was a lot tighter. Like, God, we got to come up with a new term. It was toit, like a toiga. But you're right; they cleaned it up. It was very, very well done, put together, laid out very nice. It was easy to collect, easy to follow. Which, again, for retailers, that's a fantastic thing.
You know, the interesting thing is though, like a lot of it was kind of made up on the fly. Like COVID delayed it a bunch, and like some of those one shots that got solicited never ended up coming out, and new ones replaced them. And like I think the Green Lanterns one wasn't originally solicited and ended up coming out like as a result of the delay because they had time to kind of flesh it out and build it. Like, don't quote me on that specific book, but essentially like they had a little more breathing room with this event because it was delayed a couple months, and it was better for it. Like sometimes when you're looking in the review, it's like easier to catch like what isn't tight to keep using that great word. So yeah, tightness is an essential part of an event story.
Who doesn't like tight?
I'm not going to pick up on that. But
come on, dude, I alley-ooped that. Just get up.
Your wife is watching. PG.
She has a dirtier mouth than Anthus.
That's for damn sure.
True. But the second thing that's important to me, and this is to me, is that an event series is a status quo and not an event. And like, let me explain that a little bit because that sounds completely backwards, right? So Civil War was a status quo. It was a situation that everybody was experiencing. It wasn't just like a battle, like going in to fight Ultron, right? Like Ultron didn't attack and everybody went and fought him. It was this scenario where they were all living and, you know, it affected the characters differently. Daredevil was caught and Iron Fist had to replace him. So both of their roles were kind of fucked up a little bit. Spider-Man unmasked and his life was a whole mess. And then he changed sides. Cap and Iron Man were at each other's throats with like these vastly different views on what to do, and like it was like a world that you could live in as a reader, and like when you read the X-Men book, like you saw the X-Men were experiencing it, and like it felt more real to me. So like another good example of it that's not like an event per se but a status quo is Dark Reign, which happened a couple years later. Secret Invasion happened and Norman fucking Osborn saved New York and he ended up becoming like the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hammer, and like with him in charge of everything, like it was like a dark period for the heroes, right? A lot of people were on the run. Some people got drafted into being on the Dark Avengers. Like, and it was another thing where you can kind of like look and see how everybody was being impacted by this rather than, you know, the builders are attacking and we need to stop Thanos. You know, it's like, I love Infinity, but that is not a status quo event. It's an event. So if it's something that can explore like the larger world and like the repercussions of what's going on and it's a tight story, like that's always good. And I think death metal is both of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so here is my spiel. I think Gogol's hit it on the head that you have to have a life-altering event per character that's in the crossover. But for me, the most important thing is how they sequence the action scenes together. Because when you're taking let's say a power set from one group of heroes and another one, and you've got to create some type of balance where one's not overpowered over the other one, because let's face it, every group has their overpowered character. And finding balance in action is big for me. So again, I'm going to reference Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. That crossover event when Batman faced off against Shredder, I was like, Batman's going to kick his ass. And then Shredder was throwing it down, fucking him up with his whole bam shit. And I was like, okay. So he made it on an equal level, because I just assumed this Justice League is Batman. Shredder's not going to be a problem. Ra's al Ghul's walking around. That's who he'll get to. No. Shredder held his own, and it made it more interesting for me because that action was done right. It's the same thing with the Civil War. When I saw the movie, I read the comic, but when I saw the movie too, I thought, okay, you should beat you should beat you. This shouldn't be a problem. And I was kind of squaring off, trying to figure out, ahead of time who was going to win. But the action was done so well on how they interacted with each other, given the power sets. I was like, okay, I could dig this and I can buy it.
Nice. So you want logic, is what you're saying.
Yeah, because if you take over, I mean, who's somebody like Iron Man versus Captain America? On paper, they always say on paper with sports. I don't know, who would you think would win that? Like straight up,
Iron Man. He's gonna shoot him through the head with his laser, and it's over. Like,
you got it. So he should have won, but the way they scrapped out and choreographed the fight scene, he was able to hang with them.
But what you're not thinking about is character motivation, right? Which is a big part of storytelling. Iron Man is Cap's friend. They don't agree, and Iron Man knows he's right, or he thinks he's right, and he wants to stop Cap, but he doesn't want to kill Cap. He could kill Cap, and the reason he can't stop Cap is because he's not gonna kill him.
Right. Okay. But still, though, at the same time, he knows that he's got the juice, and he's like, all right, I could put you down real quick. But he doesn't. It's a long, drawn-out fight scene where he gets his ass handed to him for some of it.
Yeah. I mean, on the other end of things, Cap could just bend Tony's broke ass over his knee and snap his spine. Super cool.
I'm just saying it. Let's just say I'm Thor, and he and I are great friends, but we don't agree. You hit me in the face, I'm fucking electrocuting you with the hammer. It's gonna go down. I'm just gonna get a zap. And I was like, okay, you hit me hard. I'm done with this shit. Here you go. But they drew it out, and it turned into a pretty good looking fight scene.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree that you have to have structure in the story. I'll point out King in Black again. There's several tie-in stories that have nothing to do with the story at all. That there's like maybe one panel that progresses the story. Like, why? Like, why come out with that issue saying it's a tie-in when it has nothing to progress the overall story at all?
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. One of the things I do when I read events is I try to like organize them in like reading orders, like, because I'm just anal about that kind of stuff. And as far as I can tell, the only books that are essential to King of Black are King in Black and the Venom tie-ins. Like, everything else is peripherally or very distantly related. Like the Hulk one-shot tie-in, which was super good, had nothing to do with King of Black other than that there was a symbiote in it, which is kind of like on the edge of related.
Right. And then how many issues did they spend with Eddie Brock falling?
Two whole issues.
I mean, like, that's like way too many already, right?
I mean, yeah, it depends on what you want to get out of it. For $5 or $6 of my money, like, I would hope the story would move more than that. In the right writer's hands, I would read a book of 6 issues of a character falling. Like, just there's a really famous short story that I'm forgetting the name of. It's a great piece of American literature about a guy dying, and you get this whole flashback between like the first and last sentence, and you realize he's been shot, and he's like, that's the last instant of his life, and like, it's really drawn out. It's like 20-30 page short story, so like, it can be done, but I don't think that this time it's working.
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
All right. So any last thoughts on comic book crossovers, event stories? Like,
let's take across the board. Thumbs up, thumbs down, event stories, comic book event stories. Ready? 1, 2, 3. That means buy them, get them, give them a try, guys.
I'm gonna write them. Buy mine from Ant.
Yes, absolutely, and we're gonna push for that. Gogol's, you doing well? Did you?
I saw the change.org link already. Somebody did it. It's on. Hashtags Frank for TMNT. Like, it's happening. It's gonna.
I love it. Well, did you
I
already say
mean,
the other thing you're writing soon with Boom? Have we already talked about that?
I'm not writing anything for Boom.
Or is it Boom? What am I thinking?
It's almost Boom, but not Boom, and it's not announced. But we can talk about it
Also
either next week. We can talk about it next week or the week after, though.
Damn. All right, guys, censor that. Beep. Yeah, so that was it on that section, guys. Are you guys ready to move on to the next section, which is the fun time?
Cue Rocky music.
Let me stretch.
Wait,
Go on, pull a
we don't have the money for the royalty-free version, so just play it in your head, guys. But this
hum to it.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go.
That's so good.
Isn't that neat? I came up with that pretty quick, and I was like, yes, he'll like this.
We got to change the colors on the shield to be the food chain colors, but
Dude, totally.
Sick.
Nice.
So I think this is where I take over in our outline. One segment that back up. One of the things we want to do with this channel is, in addition to having panel style discussions that give you guys various food chain perspectives, is have fun. We want to have fun on this. And one of the segments I pitched a while back was this idea of a recurring Civil War type segment, which kind of tied into what we were talking about anyway. So we thought this would be a good chance to try it out. Essentially, the Civil War segment is some kind of competitive segment between one or all of us, or potentially crossovers with other channels and folks down the line. So this will be something we come back to again and again, and each time it'll be a little bit different. But the overall idea is we're here to compete. We're here to know who's better than who, which is the question all you guys really care.
Now I gotta.
Oh no! Now we're fucking twins. No,
son, bring me my eye black. It's on.
Son, I thought about getting a little. I was like, I'm not Tom Brady. I can't do that. So this week, and Aaron, if you could bring up the slides, we're going to do a segment within the segment that I have created and pitched called Food Chain Shootout. That is not an image of a hockey shootout. That's a face-off. I know the difference. But
before somebody comments and gives a shit.
Yeah, well, that picture looked a lot better. I design all our slides and everything, so I get the last word. Essentially, what the Food Chain Shootout is it is a hockey shootout style trivia contest. Ant was talking shit about Power Rangers. I was talking shit about Pokemon, and we decided that we'd settle it, right here,
like gentlemen.
Yeah, yep. Right here in front of all you guys. So this is a trivia contest. Ant wrote questions for me about Power Rangers. I wrote questions for Ant about Pokemon. The questions are tough, but not impossible or unfair. Aaron was our judge, and he's going to be leading the back and forth here. So he was kind of the ultimate arbiter of what questions stayed and which ones didn't get the cut. So we will alternate 3 questions each. And at the end of the 3 rounds, whoever has the most points will win. And whoever is Ant will lose. Yeah. And as I mentioned earlier, we are using this segment. Yo, thanks, Fredo.
Whatever.
But we're going to use this segment to determine who is going to, or what is going to be the next giveaway. So if we can cut to the next slide, which I designed as well and is awesome. There you have it. It's me versus Ant. Those are the contenders. Yi, show them what the stakes are. Oh, sorry. Show them what the rules are.
Yeah. So 2 players enter into this battle arena. They get 3 questions each. If there's a tie after the 3 questions, there's 1 sudden death question for each person. And if there's any questions about the question, I'll try to answer as best as possible without giving away the answer.
Clarifications if necessary.
Yep. All right. And so they sent me the stakes beforehand, and so this is what they're putting up. So Ant is putting up an Alien #1 exclusive, a Greg Horn exclusive set. Ooh. And then Frank Gogol is putting up the #1's starter pack.
Nice.
So
I tried to find something that was of like semi-equal value. The Dead End Kids #1 with the Lisa Frank logo was a New York Comic Con exclusive last year. I think it was limited to 50 copies, maybe. They sell for a pretty penny. The No Heroine is the Ben Temple Smith 1 and 5 cover from No Heroine #1, and the Dead End Kids is from the #1 is from the second series, the Suburban Drop, which is releasing right now. I wanted to take care of people, but I also wanted to promote myself because I'm a bum. All right, so
All right.
contenders,
Yep. So
rules. Let's do this.
All right.
let's get it on.
Wait, should
All
we
right.
flip a coin? Oh, wait, I get to go first. Okay.
Yep. So I already have the questions lined up. I would have to rearrange the slides, and that's not going to happen. All right. So, Ant, you got the first question. How many years will you be cursed if you grab a Ninetales tail?
Yeah, buddy.
I'm gonna guess here because I don't know this one. Let's go with 9.
And
Damn it!
it's 1,000 years.
Yo, your name sounds like a negative buzzer. Like you were born to lose.
God.
Yeah.
And then comment who you want to win.
Yeah.
So,
Let's not do that.
So
Let's not do that.
Team Frank or Team Ant.
Team
All right.
Power Rangers.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
here's the second question, or first question for Frank. Frank, what is the name of Zordon's home planet?
Eltar.
That is correct.
Damn it! We're having a competition to see who the biggest nerd is. By the way.
I am going to make a crown for myself when I win this. And whoever beats me someday maybe can have it. We will pass it around.
All right, Ant. What 2 types is Alolan Dugtrio?
Dugtrio. It's a ground and a steel type.
That is
No.
correct.
Is it? Yes.
Nice.
I should start saying that I need to start saying that. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Got ourselves a game.
Ye Trebek. Let's
All
go.
right. All right, Frank. In the show, which Power Rangers wore the Green Ranger shield?
Okay, the Green Ranger, obviously. And then he handed it off to the Red Ranger when he lost his powers. And I think in one episode, the Black Ranger wore it. So green, red, black.
That is correct.
Oh, yes.
All right.
I had to ask my friend who's a big Power Ranger fan, like, hey, give me a trivia question, and then like, yep, he
I
provided
can
this one.
feel my street cred like slipping away from me though. Like, so, am I really winning?
Yeah,
You're winning.
It's 2-1.
All right. Let's see.
All right, this one's going to be a tougher one. And across all current 898 Pokemon, what is the most common type?
Ground?
And
No!
that's wrong. It's water at 144 or 16.04%.
Damn it. Water types. Nobody likes water types. And that's the most common.
Yep.
Lame. Anyway. So Yi wins automatically, but let's give him his question. Or not Yi. Gogol wins automatically.
All right. For question 3, Gogol, who kills Lord Drakon?
I feel like I should throw this one just to make it competitive, but it's Tommy Oliver, the Green Ranger.
That's actually incorrect.
Is that incorrect?
Yeah. So it was the Pink Ranger turns into the Ranger Slayer. The Ranger Slayer kills a Drakon and becomes Lord.
All right, that is not true.
It's not true?
It is not true. 100%. I will tell you exactly.
Okay,
Hey.
that's what I got from my friend. So I wasn't sure if that was
Yi is the facilitator of this game.
That's
and
fine.
Gogol, that is a.
I accept the rules and I respect the thing. I'm just going to point out that Draken isn't dead, first of all.
Okay.
So, second of all, I win.
All right, let's get to the bonus questions anyway.
Let's do the bonus questions.
Okay. Yep. All right. And how many evil teams have there been so far in the Pokemon anime?
Dude, a million of them. Are you kidding me? So you get like Team Rocket. What are the other ones? Team Aqua, Team Lava. Like, is that what you mean? All those different guys?
Yeah. How many?
Oh man, there's a different one for like every series. 8.
Close.
So
It was-
close.
It was 9.
Damn it, that counts.
Yeah, so it's
I'll take a
Rocket,
B.
Aqua, Magma, Galactic, Plasma, Flare, Skull, Rainbow Rocket, and Yell.
Yeah.
Rainbow Rocket, lame. I'm not being on that team.
All right.
Why not?
We'll have that discussion backstage.
All right, Frank.
Rocket.
For the original show, what was the original title for the show?
Ooh.
When you say original title, do you mean like the Japanese version?
No, for the pilot episode that was changed for the American version.
Yeah, Gogol. What was
That is-
that?
Dude, I have no fucking idea.
All right. Shout out to the Flipside crew for providing this question. It was the Dino Rangers, and it was changed last minute, right
Two
before
Mighty
production.
I'm gonna have to talk with Nico.
That should have been in Yi to my regular questions. Jeez.
Well, you know what? I will tell you what the Japanese version was called. It was called Zyu Ranger. ZYU Ranger, one word. And
Did you know?
if you look at the
Go
back
ahead.
of the Morphers, there's a big ass Z on it that doesn't make any sense in the American footage because those are borrowed from the Japanese footage.
And then-
that's it.
And then our backup Power Ranger question was, what was the first comic appearance of the Power Rangers?
Sentai number 2.
So, but I figured that was like pretty common knowledge. So I was
Ooh,
like, eh.
Gogol knows things.
What was
All right.
the question for Pokemon?
Yeah.
I don't. Let me look it up.
I'm trying to
Did
remember.
you just anticipate me losing so I didn't even get my extra question? Jesus.
Let's see. I guess the backup one was, what is the
Is that the
weakest
champion
Pokemon?
screen right there?
What is the weakest Pokemon? Right?
What is the weakest Pokemon? Magikarp?
Mhm.
It is not.
No.
Oh, that could turn into Gyarados.
No, but that and in the Magikarp form, that's the weakest.
It-
Cosmog.
The little cog guys.
No, the little cloud from Sun and Moon. It only learns 2 attacks, and none of them do any damage. Magikarp,
Yeah, but it's an element thing, isn't it? And Splash doesn't do any damage.
but it can learn Tackle.
Tackle.
Magikarp can learn Tackle, bro.
At 15, bro. Do you even play games?
All right. I'm going to wait. Okay, so the way this format went now that I've gotten my ass handed to me and I see that we play for keeps around here, in Comic Book Food
I'm
Chain,
being a real asshole about it, too. So
I love it. No, it's on. I'm going to learn all kinds of shit. But that means that the next Food Chain comic or Civil War is going to be between Gogol and Yi because I think we need to do this kind of like basketball, street basketball style. Winner stays. So
Okay.
Yi, when this comes up again, you'll be the next challenger, and then we'll do it round robin style from there. But yeah, I'm coming to play next time.
That magic.
Uh-oh.
Did somebody in the comments just ask how I'm married? Jesus. Well, I snagged one. I tricked her. Like, that's what happened.
What's up, Solo Wookie?
All right, Solo Wiki, that's funny.
Starting to get some rivalries and some beef.
People choosing teams and stuff like that.
I
I mean,
know-
I guess we'll have to like figure out what we're gonna challenge each other on. I mean, because I'm not gonna figure it out on the spot.
You know what? I think the next one we do though, let's go ahead and do it, and let's call out officially. We need to do a 3-on-3 trivia versus the comic book woman.
Done.
I
What
think-
topic?
I don't know. We'll have to hash out
Not
the details.
Star Wars if Jen's going to be there.
I was going to say it's going to be us versus Jen.
And we get
Yeah.
like lifelines. We can call a friend. We can phone home or whatever.
We'll format it super
Hopefully,
nice.
Ultra will be available because then I'll just message him real quick and be like, Ultra, what's the answer to this?
I think that is a fantastic idea. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the first ever comic book Food Chain Civil War. I had my ass handed to me by Mr. Frank Gogol. Great job, Frank. You won. Kicked my ass on your Power Ranger knowledge. So
I will admit my questions probably were harder than yours.
I don't know. I feel like I should have gotten at
I'm
least one.
giving you an out, man. I'm giving you an out.
I mean, yeah, they were ass. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed that segment. We're definitely looking to do
Looks
that.
like I got 2 wives now.
Oh, jeez. See, okay. I'm not engaging right now.
Engaging. You're about to get a divorce, bro.
That's all right. That's all right. That just means more pizza nights for me. Not out to eat so clean anymore.
Yeah. I will look forward to all the great meals I'm getting with my new wife.
Oh, God, you've heard the running joke. There will be no meals and not great.
Yeah. Well, you guys will be looking for a new creator when I die of food poisoning. So it's. Did I really win?
Are you gonna be eating spicy noodles like every night then?
Dude,
Right?
I'm never eating them again. I was messed up after that interview. We got to tweak that format. If you have ideas, leave them in the comments.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, again, guys, hopefully you enjoyed that segment, but we're going to move on to segment, what was this, number 3, the last one. We're going to bring it home strong. You guys ready for this? All right, Frank. So tell the fans, tell the people what we're eating is.
So what we're eating is a blatant ripoff of something that a podcast I like does. I listen to Pop Culture Happy Hour with my wife. She listens to it and she makes me listen to it, and I tell her I like it. But at the end of their podcast, which is a pop culture recap and kind of discussion, kind of like what we do, they do a little section at the end called "What's Making Us Happy," where they just tell the people who are listening, what they're into, if it's a movie or a book or what TV shows to watch, just kind of give them something to chew on to have, to go check out when the episode's over. So being the clever wordsmiths we are, we have our own version called "What We're Eating," because food chain. We're hella smart. So we're just going to tell you kind of what we're checking out right now. We're going to do one comic and one non-comic thing. If you want to bring up the slides for us, we have visual aids for everyone. Right now I'm working my way through The Americans. I just finished season 4. There's 6 seasons. It's on Amazon Prime. If you have a Prime membership, it's excellent. It's probably one of the best TV shows I've ever watched. Especially from a writing point of view, everything is just seeded and cultivated and twisted. It's really good. If you are a fan of bare asses, man or woman's, this show is full of them. If I don't really think I need to sell it beyond that, but it's also a very good show with lots of realistic Cold War spy stuff in the U.S. set in the 80s. I'm a big Cold War buff, big spy buff. So this is hitting a sweet spot for me. And for a comic that's coming out this week, obviously Mighty Morphin #5 is coming out. Ryan Parrott's been writing Power Rangers for a while. He's a buddy of mine. And #5 is, it's what's coming out this week. So it's the first thing I'm going to read this week.
Sweet. I like.
Nice. Ant, what do you have?
All right, guys. So something that I've been doing is I've gone back and started binge watching great shows that only got 1 season. And this is the current one that I'm on. I'm watching Terra Nova. Basically, you know how when they do those movies where we've destroyed the Earth, so we got to move to Mars? This is a little different twist. What's happening in this show here is we find a time rip. So instead of going to a new place, we're just going back to prehistoric times and kind of starting from there. The show is fantastic. It's well done. It's well acted. And when you get to the end, you're like, that was badass. And then you Google, when does season 2 come out? And the last post written was 2015 or 7, something like that, way years ago.
It was when I was in college. I remember watching it. And the cliffhanger at the end is...
Dude.
It's one of the most intense cliffhangers I've ever seen on a TV show. I was so mad when this didn't get renewed.
I was pissed. And this is the second time I watched it through. So that's what I've been watching this week because I really enjoy it. And there's a couple other ones that we've been watching, but this Terra Nova one's been fantastic. And then, of course, Joker #1 came out it comes out Tuesday. My
today,
John Boy Meyer.
Right?
What's that?
That was today, right?
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday.
I fucked up when I invented this because I was like, we'll talk about what comic we like tomorrow. But DC now releases on Tuesday. We're on Tuesday. So DCs are going to be It came out today, tomorrow.
But so that means I could talk about it because people should have these. No spoilers, but they definitely get into a deep dive revolving around Jim Gordon and the whole not Death in the Family. What am I thinking? Joker with the camera. Why am I spacing out?
Killing Joke.
Killing Joke. And his mental capacity of dealing with that. So it gets really deep in the background and goes hard.
Trish, illustrator of Stray Dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, Trish, the illustrator of Stray Dogs, Patricia Forstner, is in watching our show. She was on Comic Book Women earlier. Stray Dogs is a fantastic book, guys.
So
If you have
good.
Yes, and this is Trish. Oh God, Terra Nova. I got fans. I see Frank. Look, you know your Power Rangers, but I know my season ones.
So for anyone who doesn't know what Stray Dogs is, it's essentially Silence of the Lambs meets Lady and the Tramp, which is every bit as cool as it sounds.
Hells yeah. But yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, go back and watch the interview Comic Book Women did about 2 hours ago. Trish was on. She's fantastic to be around. She was really, really funny in that show, and they got some cool stuff to show. So yeah. Hey Trish.
Well, when Laura's food kills me, you can replace me with Trish.
No problem. We can do that ahead of time.
I mean, it's a problem for me, but I get it.
Hey, Ant, if you're watching shows with like only one season, watch Freaks and Geeks.
Okay, Freaks and Geeks I need to watch. Terra Nova, Son of Zorn. Love Son of Zorn.
So good.
And we rewatched Firefly again, which that's just aggravating to do, but
Read the comics. They're pretty good.
I subscribe. I pull my own comics. I order them myself for my own personal pull box.
So you could replace Yi technically then, because you're a consumer as well.
Absolutely.
We can really collapse this down and really get back to that hour we were talking about.
Well, that's the funny thing. When Laura helps me unpack Diamond Box or Lunar boxes, she's always like the ones that are just single issues. If it's just one of that copy, she knows that one was mine.
Nice. All right, Ant.
All right.
What are you eating?
Bring us home.
All right, so this is the show that I've been watching weekly. Season 2 is currently out. It's called The Promised Neverland. And if you haven't seen it, the first season is on Netflix. And basically you have children that are raised to be food for demons. And they have no idea that they're being fed. They think they're being adopted and stuff like that. And then, yeah. So season 2 is now premiering. You can watch that on Hulu or Funimation. So I've kind of been reviewing that with Lucas and Nick on our anime podcast. And yeah, so far I've been enjoying it. Like Nick recommended it to me, and I was like, I watched the first episode. I was like, oh, I'm hooked. And I stayed up all night watching the first season. Like I just like straight binged it. I was like, oh, now I need to watch season 2.
Isn't that the best? Like I can't remember the last time I was like that into a show, but it's an awesome feeling.
Oh yeah. And I'm just glad I didn't have to wait, Yeah. And then for my comic pick this week.
What's up?
Who's the guy from King of Queens, real quick?
Oh, Kevin James.
Kevin James. He's got a new show called The Crew on Netflix. I binge watched all 12 episodes in one day, and it totally wasn't worth it, but I couldn't shut it off either. Sorry, I don't know why that thought popped into my head.
Well, now it's out.
And then shout out to Frodo because he got me to start watching Good Girls on Netflix. So I've been kind of enjoying that. Nice. And then anyways, for comics, I am recommending Luna, issue number 2. Has anyone read issue 1 on this?
I flipped through it. It's the hippie psychedelic.
Yes.
Is hippie still a word I can say? Will that offend somebody?
I don't know.
I hope we get to say hippie.
Somebody will call me tomorrow and say you can't say that anymore.
Okay, are you supposed to call them looks now or something? So
connoisseurs of folk music and marijuana.
Right. And then so there's definitely drug use in it, so it's not for kids. But basically they turn into vampires at the end, and it's pretty intense.
Hippie vampires. Ugh.
Hippie vampires that live in a compound or whatever, and then so I'm excited to see what happens in issue 2. This is a pretty cool cover that's by America Andolfo.
You know what? I haven't read this, but I do like Maria Lovett's work a lot, or love it. She's done a couple of really good books, so I can't imagine this is any less spectacular.
And if you're following the series, there's a 1 in 10 of this cover that's a virgin. So good luck to you,
I've
Winston.
seen the interiors. I don't know if there's any virgins with this book story. Just saying.
We need to get like a bell that we can ring on each other when we're taking it across the line.
No, we need that. We need the buzzer for like the hockey like penalty thing, right?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
But it's got to be visual though, so maybe some yellow cards that we can like whip up.
Oh, nice.
You know what we should do is this: mute the video and just have an overlay that says you're in timeout, like this.
Penalty box.
Nice.
And I'm out, and I can talk again.
How was it? You okay?
It was dark and scary.
It was good without you.
Whatever. Okay, what do we got now?
All right, so I guess we can start winding this guy down now. We don't want to take everybody. One of the things we said when we started this is we didn't want to run a 2-hour show where everyone had to give up their whole night to watch us. And we're at an hour 15 about, so we can start winding it down. Just a quick reminder, we are still running our Road to 1,000 subs giveaway. We are unlocked through the 400 subscriber, though we don't have anything picked out. Thank you again for the insane support, guys. We'll catch up with that next week. Tim Burnham, hit us up. We got your John Boy comics for being the 200 winner. And do you want to, even though you lost, do you want to throw in and make the 300 something special?
Yeah, I'll do the 300.
All right, so we will do another random comment giveaway. What we did is we did a random comment from the live comments and a random comment from the posted comments, and then we flipped a coin to decide which one of those two. So we'll do the same thing again for 300, and we'll announce the winner next episode. And whoever that winner is, not Tim, you can't win twice, sorry, bud, we'll get the #1 set of my books and the Alien set from Ant. We want to take care of you guys, and yeah, it's the least we can do. Since you
So
guys,
double your entries and comment on the replay video too.
There you go.
there you go, there you go. I did use the filter for duplicates when we used the sorter, but that would be a way to get around it. If your name comes up for both, I think we're going to disqualify you.
Good job, Yi.
All right, so I
So
think
with that being said,
that's going to do it. So we'll see you guys next week. And we thought up a stupid tagline, and I'm going to let Ant say it.
we'll see you next week. Until then, stay hungry, y'all. Peace.